Good. Excellent. So it's time for this morning's talk on Sunday, the Sunday sermon. And I'd like to give some more detailed descriptions on the path of meditation and how to meditate. I know that there's many different people teach different methods of meditation. And which one do you know is the correct one? Which one actually works? And I said many times that once I usually started teaching on anapanasati. If disciples couldn't do anapanasati, then for the second choice I taught them how to do breath meditation. And if they couldn't do breath meditation, I usually taught them how to do metta meditation. If they couldn't do metta meditation, I taught them how to do loving kindness. If they couldn't do loving kindness, I would teach them vipassana. If they couldn't do vipassana, I'd teach them insight meditation. If they didn't do insight meditation, I taught them emptiness. If they didn't do emptiness, then I taught them anapanasati. By that time, they hadn't realized I'd already taught them that some time ago. And I say this, it's not totally accurate, but it doesn't really matter which kind of method which you practice. I say that because they all are the same, in the sense that they all bring up the same qualities. And if you get any one of these qualities, you cannot avoid developing the other qualities as well. Even sometimes focusing on the deep meditations, which are the meditations where you've got a lot of stillness and your thought starts to disappear. I like focusing on that because that's easier to notice. When you're really still, you can feel the energy and the bliss of it. It's unmistakable. But if you get, say, insight, I don't know how many people in this world, even monks, have all sorts of different insights, and they argue about what is right, what is not right. But you can't really argue much about stillness. So sometimes people mistake insight for thoughts and views and ideas. But something like stillness is something you can really feel. It's far more unmistakable. So because of that, you feel like something just like the breath. And how does that occur? How do you become aware of the breathing? It's not just, okay, you be aware of your breath. It's just how? Letting go. We all know we should be letting go, but how? How do you do it? And many people ask that question. Yeah, I know I should be letting go, but how? And this is one of the examples. How do you let go of the past? How do you let go of the future? Something which, no matter what meditation you're supposed to be doing, that is important. And how you let go of those past and the future is also employing some loving kindness with it. Never sort of reject all the other types of meditation which the Buddha taught. Combine them. So loving kindness with the past, I don't know what happened to you, whether it was fair or unfair, but the way to let it go is to soften it first of all. When it's softened, it's much easier to let go. I was saying something about that yesterday, when how to be able to forgive and let go of the anger to the past, people who've really disappointed you or hurt you. So instead of dwelling upon that and keep on justifying that, why you deserve to be unkind to them, or trying to figure out they should not do that. There's no reason for them to do that. It's really unfair, it's unkind, it's improper. Instead of thinking like that, which just reinforces the negativity, you give them this beautiful loving kindness. There's one of the stories of the Buddha, which when I first read it, I thought this is impossible. And that is the simile of the saw. Just imagine these gang of terrorists or whatever, they capture you, they want to torture you, and they start cutting off your limbs with a two-handed saw, not even a chainsaw, which is fast, but slowly. And the Buddha said, if any one of you, so-called disciples of mine, have even one thought of ill will towards those people torturing you, then you're not really a disciple of mine. Please maintain loving kindness. Now, of course, I've got no personal experience of that, but I do remember meeting this Tibetan monk who was, put in cells over in his homeland for protesting, and he was tortured. But one of the things which he decided, he's never going to allow himself to have any ill will or anger towards those people who did that, because he said he would have lost his mind if he allowed that to happen. And remembered the Buddha's advice, always having this loving kindness. And of course, maybe those things haven't happened to you that badly, but nevertheless, whoever's done something bad or unfortunate or mean or cruel to you, please give them that kindness. Whatever's happened to you in the past. There's sometimes when we have had bad things happen in the past, one of the reasons to give it kindness is to give it meaning first of all. Because sometimes you look at these reports or hear from other people and say, why? Why do these things happen? What's the meaning behind it? And the meaning is, literally, it may be a hard thing for me to say, but the meaning you can give to it, this is where you learn and grow and become even more skilled at letting go of things which you can't change, and keep on thinking about them doesn't get you anywhere. It's a marvelous teaching on how even the unpleasant things of life, really unpleasant things of life, we can learn to consign to the past and let go of them totally. And when you can let go of the past, even let go of the past a little bit, that means that past becomes much softer. Another way of letting go of the past, you got hurt, but you don't know why the other person did that. And sometimes you feel sorry for them. One of the examples of that, which made a lot of sense to me, when I was visiting Indonesia and visiting this lovely monk, Sri Panyawaro, and he lives in this temple in Mendut. He was the one who arranged for the two stupas over here to be sent to Jhana Grove, and also the two lions in the front of the road there on our entry into Jhana Grove. And I remember when he saw those two lions, he commented that they're the wrong way round. The lion on the left should be on the right, the lion on the right should be on the left. Why did you do that, Ajahn Brahm? And I said, because this is Australia. In Australia it's called down under, it's the opposite way around. He thought that was funny. For me, that was a good excuse. But anyway, there's no way we're going to change that, they're way too heavy. So when you can let go of the past with kindness, it's easy to let go, and it's not heavy in your mind anymore. So be kind to the past and all the actors in that tragedy of your past. And the same with the future as well. Sometimes people are so afraid of the future, you don't know what it's going to be like. Be kind to it, give it the benefit of the doubt. See the positive side of it, which is part of being kind. And when you see that kindness of the future, then it's also easy to let go of. I always say to soften the past and the future first. And with metta, with compassion, with mudita as well. When somebody gets a great reward, and you haven't got that reward yet, never be jealous. Instead, isn't it wonderful that somebody who's been working hard, or maybe not as working hard as you are, can get this, deep enlightenment or deep meditations. Beautiful. If, say, you've got your partner here or best friend here, and they're also meditating, this is their first ever retreat, whereas you've been coming here for year after year after year after year, and then they get jhanas and you don't. How do you feel? Do you really feel joy? Wonderful. This person's got a deep meditation. Isn't that great? Or do you feel the jealousy? The jealousy just doesn't help anybody. It's much nicer if somebody gets a wonderful insight and deep meditation, and they let you know, and you go, yay, wonderful, another great being in the world. Instead of getting jealousy, why them and not me? So this is one way where you can find it's much easier to be at peace, to get free happiness, when you can give those positive attitudes towards the past and the future, and then they can let go. So when you start meditating, are you aware enough that when you close your eyes, what do you think of? What comes into your mind first of all? See if you can let go of that past and future first, the grosser part of the past and future. And then it's much easier, not just to be peaceful, but to be aware. If you're so busy thinking about past and future, how can you even be aware of how your body is situated and what your posture is? You're too distracted by these really important thoughts of past and future. When those past and future start to disappear, then your mindfulness is much stronger. That's why I always say, just with the mindfulness of the body, and the Buddha encouraged that as an introduction, first thing to do when you do your meditation, even before you do any vipassana or any mindfulness of the breath or loving kindness or anything. So you can understand this vehicle in which you are living, your own body, and you can actually feel it and understand it. After a while, you don't have to spend too much time on your body because you know how to relax it to the max. I know that if I rush through that body awareness, then during the meditation you get sore here or achy there, and sometimes you didn't realize you hadn't put your legs in the correct position. But after a while, you can actually do that and become so aware that your body is peaceful. But if you haven't even let go of the future or the past, then you're in big trouble. So, because you're all sitting there, I don't know if you're going asleep or you're paying attention, but this will make you pay attention. Many, many, many years ago, in Sri Lanka, on one of their holy days, it was a Wesak, and so many people go to the temple on that day. And one day this monkey went over to the temple because he knew that sooner or later somebody will drop a mango or a banana or something which the monkeys like to eat. Someone will drop it, and then he can very quickly catch it and get something to eat. There's so many people, so much busyness, that of course that must happen. So he went there a bit early. The food wasn't really put out yet because the priest was giving a Dhamma talk. And so the monkey, not having anything else to do, started listening to the monk giving the talk. And the monk started talking about meditation. And then he started mentioning the word monkey mind. Have you ever heard of the monkey mind before? Do you know what it is? No, you don't. And the monkey was interested. Oh, they're talking about us. And then he heard this priest started saying terrible things about the monkey mind. How you've got to let go of the monkey mind, overcome it, get rid of it. The monkey mind stops you having any peace, any insight, any enlightenment. The monkey mind is an obstruction, it's a defilement. You shouldn't have monkey minds. And at that, the monkey got very upset. He said, what are these human beings, decrying, disparaging monkey minds? That's not right. They're not even monkeys. They haven't got a monkey mind. So, what do they know about monkey minds? This is wrong. And this is today's world. You can't disparage somebody just because they're a monkey. So he was very upset. And he went back to he didn't even get any mangoes or bananas or anything. He went back to his tribe in the jungle and started really jumping up and down. And he said, these human beings, especially these monks, they say terrible things about us. They say that our minds are bad and we should get rid of them and they're obstacles. There's nothing wrong with monkey minds. I've got one, had one all my life, it's fine. What do they know about a monkey mind? And all the other monkeys got really upset. They started jumping up and down. They said, they can't do this. Human beings are not fair. We've got to complain to the World Wildlife Fund and maybe get a legal case so we can actually ban this. So no one would ever call monkey minds bad ever again. This is just discrimination. In today's world, you can't do that. That's wrong. And all the monkeys were jumping up and down. And then the senior monkey said, stop. That's the monkey mind. All you monkeys jumping up and down, complaining, instead of getting something to eat. And all the monkeys understood that. I said, oh yeah, it's true, we're still hungry. Jumping up and down doesn't get us anywhere. See, that's why they're true. Monkey minds is bad for stillness and obstructs your wisdom. Yeah, so what can we do about it? We're monkeys, what can we do? And the head monkey said, I've been to that temple too, and I've heard the way to overcome the monkey mind is through meditation. So all the monkeys jumped up and down again. Yeah, let's do some meditation. Yeah, let's overcome the monkey mind. So stop being a monkey mind again. But how do we meditate? The only one who knew how to meditate was the old monkey. And the old monkey said, well, look, first of all, look at you. You've got to get a nice cushion first of all. Or they can't get chairs for the monkeys, but you can get cushions. So they all went into the jungle. They got some grass and other things to make themselves lovely cushions. There's some big cushions, some small cushions. And once they made themselves a cushion, now what do we do? Once you've got your safu, now sit on it. So they all sat on their cushions. Now what do we do? Now, he said, right leg over the left leg. That's the most important posture. Right paw over the left paw. It's just with the thumbs slightly touching. Straighten your back, and all the monkeys straighten their back. And tuck in your chin. They tucked in their chin. Close your eyes. And now watch your breath. That's what they did. It's the first time in the history of the world. And Sri Lanka got there first. The monkeys were meditating. How long do you think it lasted for? Maybe a minute. And then one of the monkeys put her hand up and said, excuse me, I've just been thinking. You know that we've been planning to rob the mango plantation this morning. Because, all the people are over in the temple. So the plantations are almost deserted. Actually, not the mango, the banana plantation. So they say, yeah, let's do that first. We'll get that out of the way first of all. Once we've robbed all the bananas, and then we can actually meditate afterwards. Because if we don't do it now, it'll be the wrong time. People will come back and we'll get caught. So I said, yeah, good idea. Yeah, let's do that. And they're all jumping up and down again with their monkey minds. They said, come on, let's go. So they all swung over to the banana plantation. They stole many, many bananas. But it wasn't lunchtime yet, so they're all really good. We won't eat it yet. We put all the bananas we've stolen right in the middle of our plantation. We won't eat them yet. It's just we know we've got that out of the way, so I don't have to think about it. And then they all went back to their cushions, and they found that a couple of monkeys had much bigger cushions than when they left, and a few other monkeys had much smaller cushions. Someone has stolen some of the grass. And anyway, they all sat down there. It's good enough. They closed their eyes. And they put the right leg over the left leg, right paw over the left paw, straighten their backs, tuck their chin in, and then started watching the breath again. Watching the breath go in, go out. In. Excuse me, said another monkey. And he said, I've just been thinking, they'd only been meditating for a minute and a half. I've just been thinking, before we eat those bananas, we have to peel them first. So I've been thinking about that, so I don't need to think about it. Let's just peel the bananas first, so we don't have to do it afterwards. I don't have to think about that. Let's get that out of the way. Once they're all peeled, we won't eat them yet, because it's not lunchtime yet. We'll just sit down and meditate. So they all went there and all helped peeling the bananas, threw all the peels away somewhere. And then they all went back to their cushions. Right leg over the left leg, right paw over the left paw, thumb slightly touching, back straight, chin in, closing their eyes and started meditating on their breath. Breathing in, breathing out. And of course, with all the peel off, they can smell those bananas now. Breathing in, breathing out. Then one of the monkeys put their hand up, said, look, I've been thinking. That's the trouble with meditation when you start thinking. I've been thinking, before we eat those bananas, they're all peeled, we have to put them in our mouth first. We won't eat them yet, we just put them in our mouth, get that out of the way, so we don't have to think about it. And so a couple of other monkeys said, yeah, I was thinking the same, yeah, me too. So they all jumped up, and they grabbed a banana each, put it in their mouth, there's a few bananas left over, so a couple of monkeys put 2 in their mouth, one put 3 in their mouth. They could get it in there somehow. But then they never ate them yet. They just went back to their cushions, crossed their legs, right leg over the left leg, right paw of the left paw, thumb slightly touching, back straight, sort of chin in, closed their eyes and started meditating. Banana going down the throat, banana. With everybody's eyes closed and all the bananas in their mouths, they soon ate all those bananas. And that was the end of their meditation. And that was the first and only time a group of monkeys in Sri Lanka ever ate bananas. And that's the monkey mind. The monkey mind is, let's get this out of the way first, and then we'll be still. So have you got a monkey mind? What do you want to get out of the way now? You get this out of the way, then you have to get something else out of the way, and something else out of the way. So instead, when we can let go of the past and future completely, we've got nothing to do. Then you've overcome the monkey mind. It's not you stop thinking, you don't have any cause to think. Take away the causes. Then the result is natural. So you let go of the past and the future. Of course, the next thing you do, sometimes, I made this obvious, I hope, with those similes about doing exams, that when you are tired, your brain is weak. How on earth can you have enough mindfulness to watch something like the breathing? You can kind of catch it in the distance, but it's not clear. And it's not enticing to you. It's not satisfying, not even joyful. So that's one of the problems. So what we should do is always make sure that we stay in this moment long enough to be silent. And it's a wonderful thing, silence. Could you hear that tight silence? I deliberately stopped speaking. What's happening in your mind when I wasn't saying any words? What were you aware of? After a while you get used to that. You notice what silence is. And it's beautiful. It's profound. You're aware, but you're not giving anything a name. Once you have that degree of awareness and silence, to me that is always basic mindfulness, and once that mindfulness is there, then kind of the meditation starts. And you don't even have to choose what to be aware of. It's one of the reasons why I've used so many similes to try and explain how to be aware and how to meditate. Some of these are very, very, very simple. You don't need to have a university degree in philosophy to be able to understand how to meditate. That was the simile of the Emperor's Three Questions meditation. This was something which I read as a student in a book by Leo Tolstoy. I liked Russian literature at the time. In those days at university, it wasn't much pressure. It was just doing maths, doing sums, and I liked that. I enjoyed doing that. And so because of that I got all my work done in about 6 weeks of an 8-week term. I forget how long, but anyway, I had a couple of weeks. I'd already finished all my work. So I went to the library and got out some books on Russian literature, because I love that. And one of the books which I got out was The War and Peace. It's a huge book. But I just read it cover to cover, and that's all I did for about 6 or 7 days. Get up in the morning, start reading, have breakfast, start reading again, and then have lunch and start reading again. That's what I did. And so you can really immerse yourself, in that novel without being distracted. And another novel I like, obviously Tolstoy, there was a group of short stories by many authors, and in that Leo Tolstoy was talking about the Emperor's Three Questions, about an emperor who had it up to here with religion. Even with Buddhism, how many types of Buddhism are there? How many Buddhas were there? Can't we kind of agree? You're all followers of the Buddha. Why do we have this type of Buddhism and that type of Buddhism and another type of Buddhism? Even in Theravada, can't we have this type of Theravada, the forest tradition, the city tradition, this tradition and that tradition? Why do we have so many traditions? Can't we just have one tradition, Buddhism? That's what I have. People sometimes ask me what I teach. Am I a Mahayana, Vajrayana, Theravada? And I say, I try to work with everything. That's why my tradition is Mahayana. Hinayana, Mahayana and Vajrayana, all together. Mahayana. And I say that, sometimes people think I'm just telling a stupid joke. No. Because I want to be able to present my understanding of Buddhism with some humor, to make it more engaging, to make it so you can come to one of these talks and you don't fall asleep. One of my best friends, still a best friend, he was also a theoretical physicist, and many of you know him because I mention him so often, Bernard Carr, and he was one of Stephen Hawking's close associates, really close, back in the inner circle. And he was also a Buddhist, the first Buddhist I ever met, and he was also a astrophysicist, Buddhist, into ghosts. I love challenging things and seeing things maybe you're not supposed to see, but they're actually there. And so I enjoyed that when I was with him. And also we had a lot of fun together. The only way you can investigate things is with joy and happiness. And sometimes the joy and the happiness makes you see deeper and further with energy. You don't get bored. So anyhow, he was one of these associates, and we had a lot of fun together. And I forget where I was going with mentioning him, but nevertheless, I don't mind admitting I've lost my track. But you see, but it's made you laugh. Excellent. So anyway, with the Mahayana, bringing joy into the meditation, if you bring that joy in at any point, that's right, the reason I mentioned him, because he was, many times, he was the treasurer of the Cambridge University Buddhist Society when I first met him. He was a year or two senior to me. And so I was just mentioning that sometimes I go to these talks at the University Buddhist Society and you go to sleep. You have all these famous authors, really even senior monks, but a lot of the times when you listen to them, I'd read that in the book, I knew that already. So at the end of the evening, you'd see myself and others falling asleep. And remember Bernard telling me, yeah, he was supposed to be the MC, and he fell asleep too. That's very embarrassing. So, do you fall asleep when you're meditating? Do you get dull? Why? There's not enough interest and joy. That's also one of the things which people over in Singapore, I think, no, in Malaysia they first noticed. When I give a talk, I never give a talk in a monotone. I always change the pitch of my voice. That's a wonderful way of keeping people alive. You change a high pitch, sometimes fast and sometimes slow. Have you ever noticed when people start talking about meditation, they always do it slowly? Now sit comfortably and watch your breath. Breathe in. They always do that. I do that as well, but at least I know what I'm up to. And you should do too. It's the time you can go to sleep. So, modulate your voice. Fast, slow. Okay. Funny story. I hope it's funny for you. This monk. He just started his temple over in, where? In United States? Or Canada? Where should I say started? Where's the claim? Okay, over in Canada. And it's really tough getting enough funds to pay the bills. So he went to a senior monk over in Canada and said, look, it's really hard. People just aren't giving enough money to pay for the electricity and other bills. Now what should I do? And the senior monk said, oh, that's easy. That happens to all of us. But he said, what to do is one evening, just close all the windows in the hall, turn the heaters up, make it stuffy and hot. And once people are sitting down, then give the most boring talk you've ever given. That should be easy for you. And keep your eyes open when you're giving the talk, and when all of your audience, they start to be nodding, you can see that, don't be distressed. That's your chance. Now, tell them to keep their eyes open, get out a watch, swing it from left to right and left to right, right to left. And once they're all getting sleepy and hypnotized, that's when you can give them that suggestion. When you leave the talk today, you'll only put notes in the donation box, no coins, no 5s or 10s or 20s, just 50s or $100 notes. That's all. I can't do that, that's unfair, that's fraud. It's not fraud, it's compassion for others so they can make good karma. Oh, okay. So that's what he did. And that day, after he finished his talk, and they all left, the donation box was full of $50 notes and $100 notes. Not one coin was in there. It worked perfectly. And he made enough money to pay all the bills for the next couple of weeks. But then, it only lasted a short time. So he had to do it again. So he turned up the heater, closed all the windows, gave a really boring talk, and he got out his watch and started swinging it. But before he could even speak, he dropped his watch, and it fell on the floor and broke. Anusha knows what happens next. And because there's a nice watch, and he dropped it and it broke, he couldn't help himself. He wasn't mindful enough, so he just said, oh shit. And that's what they did. Served him right. So that's not what to do with your audience. It took him weeks to clean it up. So you get a bit of joy and happiness. You know, if you just close your eyes and meditated now, you actually get much more peaceful. You energize your mind. It's giving a boost of energy. So that's one of the most important things to do at the beginning of the meditation. Be mindful, in this moment, silent. And it always works for me and for many others, that you get this energy coming up, the joy, the beauty. I've mentioned already what I said last night, to see a world in a grain of sand, heaven in a wildflower, infinity in the palm of your hand. You can actually see this, because I'm always looking at these floorboards. And once you're mindful, a test that you are mindful, you look at those boards and they're more beautiful than you've seen before. They're incredibly beautiful. And sometimes over in, say, Nolamara, the carpet in there, it's really an old carpet. It's been there for years. And it's always regularly cleaned, but still it's an old carpet. And after good meditation, I can look at that, wow, that really is nice. Once even over in the hall in Thailand, Wat Banana Chart Hall, I was there, but there was no hall. I was one of the first 6 monks there. And I remember just seeing that hall, doing some walking meditation. During the range retreat, the rain was so strong, the only place you could do walking meditation was inside. So walking inside there and then looking at the, about 2 meters in front of you on this concrete floor. And it was laid by the villagers, so it wasn't even smooth. And it was just, whenever they needed, it was a bit dry and needed to try and smooth it, they would spit on it, and then they would trowel it to make it smooth. So it was all sorts of different colours. It wasn't sort of unhygienic at that time, so it was quite safe. And so we were walking on it barefoot, and I remember having to stop. I stopped because the piece of concrete which I was looking at became incredibly beautiful. I wasn't making this up, I just was surprised. Wow, I've been walking on that for so many years and now it looks so amazingly wonderful. I was just staring at it for about 10 or 15 minutes. No exaggeration. I thought, I need to get someone to saw that piece out and send it to the Tate Gallery in London. It was like a work of art. I could see that then. It honestly looked incredibly beautiful and delightful. However, only afterwards I realized, what on earth are you doing, Ajahn Brahm? It's only an old piece of concrete. How come it looks so beautiful? And of course the answer was, because my mind was very strong. You're getting to strong mindfulness and everything looked beautiful. And of course I won't tell you about one of the most beautiful things I saw here in Jhana Grove. Why are you giggling? Because you know what it was. I still to this day think I should put a little sign up in the middle cubicle in the men's toilets here. This was absolutely true. Sitting there, doing meditation with you, like we always do, and then just getting nice, peaceful meditation, really peaceful. But you have to go to the toilet, and so you're a man as well as a monk. So I went to the toilet to do the number 2. And when I went to do it, this is actually amazing insight, but this was important. This reason I keep telling this is important to actually, for each one of you to know just how to really meditate deeply. And so I did a number 2, and before I pressed the button, that was my mistake, I looked at the contents of the bowl. Wow. In all my life, I've never seen such a beautiful TURD. You should never just assume that it's disgusting. Next time you go in there, have a look at the shape, the way it's all put together. And to me, it reminded me of like a sculpture. Like by some great artist like a Rodin or something. And Michelangelo even better. But nevertheless, the way it was all proportioned, and it's totally balanced. And it's kind of like this was no ordinary And that was just the shape of it. And then the colours of it. It's not just brown, it's got different shades of brown. And just the way they're all intermingled, like it was done on purpose, to be able to show the beauty of the interreaction of like dark browns and lighter browns, and the way that melded into the shape of it. It all had meaning, and it was a gorgeous meaning. And then, of course, I have to hurry this along, the fragrance. I'm not going to call it smell, it doesn't deserve the word smell. The fragrance. Now, as a monk, of course, you don't go to nightclubs or dinners or anything, but it's amazing how many of you, when you come to visit the monastery, wear scent. Especially the Thai ladies and the Sri Lankans and stuff. When they come to the monastery, they always actually dress up and wear heaps and heaps of fragrances. But this one, the ones I smell on sort of people visiting the monastery, that's kind of fake. But this was actually real. Like earthy, nature. And it was just so beautiful and just filling the air in my nostrils. And Why do you laugh? It's because I'm challenging one's preperceptions that shit is disgusting. But this was the most beautiful, and I wasn't making it up. It kind of shocked me too. What is beauty? And it was so hard to press that button on the top to flush it away. It's only because, being a monk for such a long time, you have to let go of things. So. But what is beauty? I remember one of our disciples who works at CERN in southern France and Switzerland. And when I told that story, he wrote this lovely email back and said, "Thank you. I could never really understand what beauty means." And the beauty is not in the eye of the beholder, it's not in the object. Beauty is in your mind and how you perceive it. When your mind is really powerful, you can see the beauty in anything. The reason why I say that's an important thing to mention is because, yes, when you have the mindfulness and the silence, from the silence the energy of the mind starts to build. And when the energy starts to build, whatever you experience becomes much more delightful and beautiful. Even that word I used to say about the delightful breath, or I started by saying the beautiful breath. Is the breath delightful or beautiful? Of course it isn't. It's what we add to that breath. Naturally, you can't stop adding it. It comes from the mind, the citta. That's why if you look carefully at how the Buddha described anapanasati, he said he called this the citta sankhara. It's not just the body sankhara anymore, just how the body feels the breath. It's how the mind experiences the breath. And it becomes really delightful. And that's important in meditation, to get that delight. Because once that piece of concrete became delightful, I was just staring at it, couldn't take my eyes away from it. Once that content of the toilet bowl became interesting, wow. It keeps you there, it gives you that stability, it satisfies the mind. And then what happens is you can stay there for a long time. And that's what happens with your breathing. The breathing becomes delightful. You're not doing it, you don't have to maintain it. No longer do you have to keep these guards up. My breath might be going over here, going over there. I'm not going to let it go. I know all the tricks. I'm going to watch this, watch that, watch that. If it does go anywhere, I'll bring it back again. You don't have to do any of that. Your breath becomes the most delightful thing in the world. You're just sitting there enjoying it. That's what makes the meditation work. And afterwards you want to meditate again. Not because you've come a long distance to meditate here, not because you've asked permission from your boss or from your family member, and you have to imagine, you go back after one of these retreats, and your wife asks you, how was it? And you say, oh, terrible, hopeless. You feel like embarrassed. What, you've gone all this way and you wasted your time? But imagine you go back and say, wow, that was such a beautiful retreat. And you're saying that, you're not faking it. One of these people who came from Sydney to come on a retreat for 9 days, she said she had to beg and grovel to her boss to get the time off. But the boss let her come. And when she went back there, she sent me this lovely email saying her boss couldn't believe just how happy I was after going on a 9-day retreat. And he said, look, you don't have to explain to me what drug Ajahn Brahm gave you for 9 days, but please bring me back some next time. If it's joyful and happy, then more and more people want to make the best use of this. And you can meditate with no stress at all. You're very peaceful, having a wonderful time. So you just have to go to the toilet, you come back again, sit down, you're looking forward to it. You get up in the morning, yeah, meditation time. And because you look forward to it, there's no energy or effort needed. It actually takes energy or effort to go and get some lunch. And that, of course, happens so often. I hope to see many of you missing your lunch. It happens. You know why? Because you're sitting here and having such a wonderful time. I can get some lunch tomorrow. You're enjoying it too much. And you know what's going on. If I don't get up now, I'm going to miss the lunch. There's no dinner in the evening. But you think, nah, I'd rather just enjoy the bliss of this peaceful meditation. Don't fake it. I know I say that, and people say, no, this is joyful, I'm not going to have any lunch. You're faking it, it doesn't work. It has to be the real joy. Now once that joy, I haven't even mentioned the type of meditation you're doing, because you don't have to, you're just getting more and more peaceful. And then one of those first insights comes up, how to meditate. You get enough satisfaction and joy in the mind that you don't want to do anything else. It's a default position. And how Ajahn Chah taught it, this was one of his amazing stories. It's just like the bushes in the forest, because that was the only visual aids he could use, what was around him. So see that bush, see the leaves in that bush. They are moving. Why are they moving? You don't just try and stop them. You find, why are they moving? They're moving because the wind has been blowing. And that wind makes those leaves vibrate. But he said, you don't have to grab them to stop them moving. Just wait. And soon the wind will stop blowing. When the wind stops blowing, those leaves will still move. But less and less and less. Until basically the friction would eventually let all the leaves on the bush become perfectly still, all by themselves. I remember him calling that their default state, their natural state. The natural state of the leaves on a tree or on a bush is to be still. They only move because something makes them move. And he said that's the same as the human mind. It only moves because something makes it move. Its default state is to be still. We always try to make it move. If it does become still, we get scared. We do something to make it move. Or we get bored. And we start going through our filing cabinet or our history of things to see or watch. Just something to disturb us. Because we're not used to stillness and peace and freedom. In the same way, a person who's been in jail for many years, and they're going to be set free this afternoon, and they're scared. They don't know how to deal with freedom. It's the same with your mind. You'd rather think of something than just be courageous enough to see what it's like, being content, peaceful, and empty. But eventually, it's my job to convince you, to brainwash you. If someone can brainwash me to buying the stupid tobacco, which didn't work, I'm sure I can brainwash you to let go of everything. When the mind becomes really peaceful and happy, enjoy to the max. Just sit there, don't do anything, don't disturb it, and just see how happy you can be. And it's intense. When you're not afraid of meditation, you know what happens? I mentioned this the first talk, I'm just reinforcing it now. Sometimes the happiness you feel inside, the bliss you feel, is so great. This happened to me once, actually more than once, but I ask other people, did it ever happen to you? The bliss becomes so strong, you wonder, how much bliss can a human being endure without exploding? Would you like to find out the answer to that with your own experience? And sometimes people think, you're a monk, aren't you supposed to give up bliss and just be suffering? The end of suffering. The more it disappears, the more this great sense of freedom and bliss and openness and joy comes into the mind. And that becomes one of the other insights you have. How you can have a wonderful time meditating, the best time of your life. And also, you understand why, because that bliss, that joy is coming from your mind. It's not the object. You can look at anything, it becomes beautiful. That's why you can watch the breath. Once the breath comes and it starts being delightful, I mean really delightful, one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen, your own breath. You can't take your eyes off it afterwards. You know, a couple of times, we've had supermodels coming on these retreats. I know that Kate Moss, she's supposed to be a meditator. I remember one of the people who come on these retreats, they heard that on the retreat she was going on, Kate Moss was on that retreat. And so, of course, you know what he did? He opened his eyes during that, when everyone was meditating, and had a look around. Which one is Kate Moss? Stupid thing to do, because one of the things he discovered there was the Kate Moss supermodel is just the image on a painting or on a video or on a photograph which has been airbrushed so many times. And the actual real Kate Moss he couldn't recognize. I also remember going on one of those 9-day meditation retreats which I was leading, and I saw all these young Sri Lankan men coming to do a meditation retreat. Now, I'd hardly seen them at the temple before, but this time there's so many of them. This is one of those retreats at the North Perth Redemptorist Monastery Retreat Centre. So many of them coming. I thought, why are they all coming? And then someone told me, this famous Thai TV star was on my retreat. She'd only come to my retreat over in North Perth and Western Australia because she thought she wasn't going to tell anybody, no one would be able to recognise her there. But a few of the Thai boys found out and they all came. Or one of our other members, this was, she happened to be, it's a she this time, happened to be our Vice President of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. So she wanted to go over to India, so she also went up to Dharamsala to visit His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And because she said, the Vice President of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, that gave her a bit of opportunity to have a private interview with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But even for her, it took a couple of days of waiting. And so what did she do in the morning? Just go to the meditation group in the morning. She's a good meditator. And so in the morning, she started meditating alone in this hall. And then soon somebody came and sat next to her, as a few others did it as well. He was a bit noisy, so she couldn't help but open her eyes and take a look. And that was the end of her meditation. That was Richard Gere. Oh, Richard Gere. She was single. Why do people do that? Why is looking at Richard Gere more irresistible than watching your breath? There's not enough delight yet in your breath. When that breath does become delightful, nothing can take your awareness away from it. That delight is the glue which sticks you to the breath easily, for hours sometimes. How long can you meditate for without moving? Sometimes you can try and beat your record. That's not how to meditate, that's the ego. But when you can't take your eyes away, it's just enjoying yourself with the breath. And many of you, I hope, will enjoy that. You come out of meditation afterwards, and you look at the clock. The clock must be wrong. 4 hours? No way. But it is true. And don't think you can't meditate for more than half an hour. When it starts to get really joyful and happy, the time doesn't have any meaning anymore. And the 3 or 4 hours, they're just, well, that's cool. With no effort, peaceful and still. Am I doing a good advertisement campaign? Hopefully, so when you get some joy coming up, which is natural from the stillness and the quietness of the mind, let it happen, don't be afraid. And enjoy it to the max. I know that one monk once told me in his retreats, he always has this rule: if you miss lunch because you've been meditating really deeply, having lots and lots of joy, he said he has a special exemption you can eat in the afternoon if you wish. And the reason why he says that, because even though that's an exemption which can be allowed for you, you won't take it. You don't want to eat. But anyway, that exemption is there to take away that worry and fear. If I came on meditating, I'll miss my lunch. Don't have any fear. Go for broke. Okay, that's this morning's talk. I was going to talk deeper, but I think that's deep enough for now. Is that okay? Okay. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we've got some interviews now, but try and keep them to 10 minutes, please. And to meditation, please. And what else? Yeah, that's enough. Have a lovely morning, if you wish. I don't want to compel you.